So why do I try to focus on positivity and give you encouragement on a regular basis on this whole reciprocity project? I want to talk about that. I think that's an important thing for us all to sort of think about. So if you don't know me, I am Professor Dave Maslach. I'm an Associate Professor of Innovation Strategy and Entrepreneurship. And I created this whole reciprocity project to give back as much as I possibly can. There's so many people that help me out that I want to pay the favor for to help you out. Part of the reason why I focus on all of this encouragement is it's really a way for me to get my own personal. You're my therapist in a lot of ways, and me dealing with a lot of things that go on in my life and how do I process these particular things. So, my family, we didn't have that much growing up. I was the first of you probably have heard this, the first of my whole entire family to go to Wade University. So the way that I dealt with the challenges of university is to really focus on it and to really go ham on it, and to push away a lot of life when I was through it. When I was in my undergraduate program, it was a top engineering program, and initially, when I got there, I kind of really struggled. It didn't, nothing clicked because I was from this little tiny dinky town, and, we were showing stuff that I didn't even know existed. And it was a real struggle. So in my second year, I really went crazy hardcore studying, and I studied really hard. Like, nobody saw me. It was something else, and I just really focused on that, and I kept that up for all the way through to my master's program. And then when I got into my PhD program, I was doing pretty good. I was like a young student at a really good PhD program at the University of Western Ontario, and in a business school, which is it's hard to get into. It's pretty good, but the challenge was my life fell apart when I got into my PhD program in a lot of different ways. I was newly married. We had a lot of stressors that happened in my life. Both my dad and my father-in-law died within a week of each other when we first got into the PhD program. That was in December of, the PhD program started in September, and both my dads died. And our whole world fell apart with what was going on in our life. And I had to really recalibrate who I was. And that was one moment where I was like, oh, wait a minute. I have to spend a little bit more time with my wife. And that was hard. It was really hard because I was trying to balance, going to school, and, we were at, it was a really hard time in our relationship. A really hard time in our relationship where we're struggling with things because we're both type A personalities, I guess, in some ways, where we're really focused on, our work. And that was a real struggle at that moment. But, we got through and things calmed down. But then when I got into my fourth year, my fourth year, I was the one person that was like, I'm going to stay for 5 years and do a good job, really work at this, and, go to a better institution by staying for 5 years instead of doing 4. It was fully funded, got all these scholarships and all this kind of stuff, right, from national and provincial scholarships. So it was, I was doing okay, but that was 2008 when I was supposed to graduate after 4 years, or that was, so I started 2005, so it was 2008 was the year that people were going up to get jobs, and all of those people got jobs that went up early, and they did okay, and then I was the one that decided to stay, and I didn't get any jobs, and here is one that was like, okay, I'm going to choose to prioritizing doing quote-unquote doing good research. I was really going to focus on things, come up with some really cool idea, and, just be like the next Einstein kind of thing. And when I did that, and you have to forego playing a lot of the stupid little games that everybody plays, right? So like all the quick articles and all that kind of stuff, are really focus on doing good research. And doing good research is hard. Is really hard, and it's really slow and really tedious. It's a different skill than the sort of let's publish as many articles as you possibly can. Totally different. Anybody that knows this will see it. It's really different. And so I chose to do that, and I struggled with that, and I had to really rise above it. Above all of the nonsense that happens. I remember going and applying to jobs. This was in my 5th year, applying to jobs, and I applied to probably 60 jobs. And I didn't get even a single interview, and I was so crushed. I remember just crying in my wife's arms, like crying, just broken. Because I passed over. My undergrad was an engineer. I had a really good career laid out for me from a really good university. Would have been making, by now I'd probably be making a couple $100,000 a year, highly successful and all that kind of stuff. And I passed over it. And then I had no career prospects when that was done. And I was fortunate enough, so I stayed, for another year, no pay. I stayed for 2 more years, no pay. I was fortunate enough to have my old master's supervisor, an amazing person, gave me funding for 6 months, and that helped me out. And it was such a traumatic experience in dealing with all of this. And processing all of this. Here I was, I had in my view that I was doing all the right things. And I still look back and I still know that I was doing all the right things. But I had to, the career itself, the outcomes itself did not give what the doing the right things actually provided. And a large part of that has to do with time scales that we have in terms of doing these things. You're just not on the right time scale. Sometimes things just take longer. Doing good stuff takes longer, and you're not on the right time scale. Some of this stuff that I hopefully have been working on, hopefully it pans out in 30 years and people recognize it, but who knows, right? Like, you don't know. And so I've had to really rise above the nonsense and really walk almost religiously of getting around some of all of this crap that happens where, people do these comparison games and all of this nonsense, social comparison games, and that you're not good enough and all that kind of stuff, where, I'm putting in the work and I'm doing the effort, and I'm doing the things that I think need to be done. And so I've had to rise above that. And, it's not going to get recognized. Like, you're never going to get recognized doing some of these things. And you have to be okay with not getting recognized. You have to be okay with living a life where you're doing things because you're you, and the rest of the nonsense that happens, you have to ignore it, and you have to just know that you're doing the right thing and by you, and you have to convince yourself that. And so me going through all of this and talking about it is me convincing myself and working through some of these things. And hopefully you get to follow along with these stories and coming to terms with, man, it does not work out a lot of times, if you do everything, so that is a really hard thing. It's a lesson in life, a lot. Academia is a real hard lesson in life because things don't always work out the way that you intend them to, but you have to be okay with that, and you have to be just like, screw them, right? Like, just have that confidence where you're okay with being you. And sorry, you probably can hear Izzy panting that I'm taking her to work today. She was a little nervous. It's kind of a rainy day today. It's in May, so we're getting these rainy days, thunderstorms. So, I've had to learn how to be a better person and learn how to prioritize my family. Learn how to deal with a lot of this kind of stuff. It's not easy dealing with two working parents and balancing all these kind of things and trying to have like your kids being okay as you're doing it, right? Like, my wife is a professional, and she likes her work too. And both of us have to balance this. And so I want everybody to know that you're going to be okay. No matter what is going on in your life and however it looks like and what it's about. And you're going to have all of these kind of like not great days that you're not happy with. But, the ultimate goal is not to have great days every day. The ultimate goal is just to become a better person. And I strongly believe that. Like, I think that that's important, is to realize that you can be a good person. And no matter what you choose to do and what happens in your life, being a good person is important. And that's why I think it's nonsense to have all of these labels of, well, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. Well, who cares? Like, just be yourself, be a good person, and walk that life. If you have opportunities that come your way that are good for you, then choose those opportunities. Like, I'm absolutely, if things come my way, if somebody was to offer something that was great, I'd absolutely really consider it and think about it. Like, it's your life, and I just want everybody to be aware of that. It's your life. You walk your life, and you try to be a good person and try to help out other people, and just keep doing that. And don't worry about all the nonsense. You should do this and you should do that. Just walk your life, and ignore the rest of it. That stuff's just crap. It doesn't do anybody good in any sort of way. And if it doesn't work out in the way that you intended, remember, you're a good person. That's it. It comes down to that. Are you a good person? Are you trying to do the right thing? Are you trying to do right on other people? Are you putting in, effort to do that? And if the answer is yes, when you answer those questions, you ask yourself those questions, don't worry about all this, the outcome that you get in your life. That stuff's nonsense anyways. You'll get through, you'll manage, you'll figure it out, and at the end of the day, you'll be happy that you actually chose to be a good person rather than to cheat the system in different ways and do all those kind of things. Honestly, it's not worth it to do those kind of things. It's better to stick to being a good person, knowing that you're doing the right things, and just live your life as it is. So that's all I wanted to say. But hopefully you learned a little bit on who I am and why I'm doing this. All right, take care and have a wonderful day.